This is Rob Howden, the voice of the Mazda Road to Indy, and you're listening to the Indy Sports Car Podcast.
Welcome, ICP fans, to another episode of the Indy Sports Car Podcast. Hey, Missy.
Hello. And joining us this evening, we have Mike is back. Welcome back again, Mike.
Yes. How's it going, guys?
I didn't run you ragged with Missy stuff. And then we have Christian also back again. Welcome back, Christian.
Happy Monday, everybody.
And then joining us tonight is your driver for 2018 in the number 21 for Fuzzy's Vodka for Ed Carpenter Racing. Welcome back, Spencer Pigot. Welcome back, Spencer.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Spencer, just can't thank you enough for, I'm sure, this off-season, it doesn't feel like an off-season for you right now, I'm sure, and everything's going nuts, but I just want to thank you for, freeing up some time to come on the show with us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be back. I know I've been on a few times, but it's been a little while, so it's good to be back. I've got some busy stuff happening this off season. You're right. So it's not really been too much relaxing. It's been a lot of traveling and testing and doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. I can imagine. And the listeners know that how happy we are about it, and so. As we've been talking about it, it's been a focal point here and there, but almost every show, right, Christian?
That's right.
But that's because we support you, brother, and we want nothing but the best for you. So it's all positive. It's all positive, And
thank you.
And we just can't be more happy for you, man. So on behalf of Missy and Christian and Mike and myself. Just congratulations on getting the full-time ride, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And, I'm really excited. I mean, this is what I wanted to do. That was one of the goals, to be a full-time IndyCar driver. So it's nice to finally be here.
Yeah, man. And we were talking before we started. I don't bust it out too often, but, Oh, yeah. Let's give him another round, everybody.
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right. Rock on. So congratulations, Spencer. We're proud of you, brother.
Thank you. Thanks.
From MRTI to full-time IndyCar in, nothing to sneeze at with an Ed Carpenter full-time machine, my friend. That's no Floyd over there. You guys are a well-polished machine over there.
Yeah, we are. We have a lot of good people, a lot of good mechanics. We've got some great engineers. We've hired a couple more this year to hopefully strengthen our program. And Ed obviously runs a great team. We've got a really good team manager. It's just, really, really good group of people. And hopefully, a team that I can be around and drive for a long time.
I mean, that's the hope, if you can do like an Elio tour, say, 16 years plus, I'd say that's a successful career. A real good goal to aim for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the goal is to be here for a long time. I mean, he's been here for a really long time, and it'd be hard to emulate that, but I'd definitely give it a good shot.
Well, you definitely have a good mentor to show you the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm sorry. I will ask all the questions if people just don't cut me off. So please, everyone, cut me off.
Great. So, Spencer, what are you most looking forward to about the upcoming 2018 season?
Oh, well, I'm most looking forward to just being in the car, all the time, doing all the races. I mean, sometimes it was a little difficult to, race for a couple weekends and sit out for a month or whatever it was, while they have a couple oval races. And so it'll be nice to just be able to stay in the swing of things and, work with the team week in and week out rather than, the team working with me one weekend and Ed the next weekend. So I think it'll be nice to have that continuity on both sides. And yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to race on the ovals. I mean, I really enjoyed racing short ovals back in Indy Lights and Pro Mazda and all that. And it's been since, 2015 that I've raced on any oval other than Indy. So it'll be a new challenge for me going to places like Texas and Gateway and Pocono, places where I've never been before. But, it's an exciting challenge. And, like you said, I have a great mentor and teammate in Ed. Hopefully, learn a lot from.
Out of those ovals that you just mentioned that you haven't seen before from the cockpit, with the new car being put into place, which one of those do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I did a few laps at Phoenix not last week, but a few weeks ago when we were testing out there, and that was a kind of really unique oval. Just the shape of the corners are very different to anything that I've driven before. So I think will be a tough one, but we do have quite a bit of testing there, which will be nice. I think, I've heard a lot of things about Pocono being tricky. Obviously, not because it's a tricky triangle, just because the differences in the corners and the wind and all of that, it's a big place. So, I think those two places are very unique and might take a little bit to get used to, but, hopefully not too long.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
Mike, do you have a question?
Yeah, what was it like to be able to learn from a guy like J.R. Hildebrand this year?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed working with JR. He's been around for a long time, even though, not every year full time, but still he's been driving Indy cars for a long time. So it was nice to have that, source of information on the team. We're able to compare data, look at video and talk to each other, not only when we're at the track, but we go to the simulator together down in Charlotte. So we spent a lot of time working over different setups and different ways to approach the corner. So it was definitely nice to have JR there, similarly with Joseph and Graham, my two other teammates that I've had in IndyCar so far. It's just been really nice to be able to, work with someone that has a lot more experience than I do and not just being thrown in a team where I'm the most experienced guy.
Right.
Right. And, as far as, I mean, we were at Gateway last year and, the stands were packed and I can only imagine it's just going to grow for next year. So, next year with Gateway, I mean, I think it's going to be an awesome race. I mean, it was a great race this year, and I think it's just going to get better next year, especially with the new cars coming out. And I guess you guys will have your first test in late January. Is that the goal for Chevy right now?
Well, we've actually been testing with the new car already. We're one of the two teams that Chevrolet has chosen as their manufacturer cars. So
Awesome.
we've actually done a test at Sebring, a test at Road America, and a test at Phoenix already with the new Aero kit. So, us and Penske are the two teams that Chevy's using for that. So we got a little bit of a head start and have been able to feel the Aero kit and kind of start, getting to work with it a little bit.
So I mean, the big question is, man, what's the biggest differences between, the past few years and this new, this new adoration?
Yeah, it's definitely different. The biggest thing you feel, it's just got less grip. I mean, they took about 1,500 pounds of downforce off the car, which is quite a lot. So the car is moving around a little bit more. You're your brake zones are a little longer because you don't have the downforce to help slow you down, but also you're going faster in the straight line. So I think that'll be good to promote passing on the road and street courses. When you put power down out of a slow corner, there's less downforce, so you're definitely sliding around a lot more. I think the cars will look a little livelier. You'll see the drivers' hands probably working a bit harder, which I think will be cool from the in-car footage for all the fans to see. And, I think it'll look a little bit more spectacular. I think the racing will be a bit closer. I think the cars are going to draft really well, be able to run close together. So, I don't think there was really much wrong with the racing in IndyCar anyway, but I think that this is just going to take it up a notch.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the racing in IndyCar has just been phenomenal for the last 4 years easily. But, the biggest problem, I would say, the only biggest problem was the pack racing that the old car was given because of so much downforce. You don't want all 20 cars in one big pack. So, do you think this car is going to promote more of like smaller packs around the super speedways, like a pack of maybe like 2 or 3 here and there?
Maybe that's something that I don't know we're totally sure about quite yet. I think places like Texas, that they'll be very strict on the downforce levels we're allowed to run. So even though the car already has less downforce, they might not even let us run to the maximum capabilities of the wings. They might limit how much wing angle we can get just to prevent the big pack racing. So that's something that we'll kind of get a feel for, at least for Texas next week, because we'll be testing there. So I think on the big super speedways like Indy and Pocono, we actually haven't driven there. I've just kind of heard what James and Scott said from their test with Honda at the speedway a few weeks ago, and they think it'll be great racing, big drafts, be able to suck up. But yeah, maybe not a train of 15, 20 cars. Maybe there'll be a little bit of separation, but they still think that the racing will be just as good.
Oh, that's music. That's music to my ears. That's for sure. As last year at Texas, that was one heck of a race. Geez, Louise. Missy, do you have a question? Or do you have
Yeah. What's one of the things that you took away from the 2017 season?
Well, I think I learned a lot. I mean, definitely we made improvements in lots of different areas, but I'd say, the biggest thing that I took away was just, more confidence in the car, more confidence in what I needed from the car to go fast. We spent a lot of time last off season trying to figure out, what exactly I needed from the car, and this year was kind of a year where I could, start from square one at the beginning of the season and really try to develop the car to my needs. Whereas, in 2016, I kind of came into ECR halfway through the season, and Joseph was obviously doing really well, and the setups were all geared around him, as he was the lead driver on the team and really going after the championship. So, going in, the first time I drove for them was a race weekend. So it was kind of just, follow setup information from Joseph. But I think this year I've been able to, kind of put my own kind of twist on things with the engineers. And I think that's definitely been beneficial.
Right on.
That's cool.
Christian?
Sure, well, good. I was just going to ask him. I do my training all at Racecraft One, and I know that Spencer's been there a couple of times. Kelly's got your picture on the wall, man.
Yeah.
You got to frame the picture up there on the wall.
Oh, nice.
So I do know that you are a believer in the simulation process. We had Ed Jones on last week, and we spoke to him a little bit about how he felt about simulation, and kind of just wanted to ask you the same thing. What do you feel the main benefits are? Because you got some drivers who just hate it, and would never go near one. And then you got other guys who were like, no, this really helps a bunch. I'm thinking because your picture is on the wall at Racecraft One, you are a believer. Is that correct then?
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy sim work. I've definitely been to Racecraft One a few times. We did some training there with with Pit Fit where we do some, sprinting or whatever, and then go over and see Kelly and do some laps on the simulator, back and forth intervals, stuff like that. So I really enjoy working with Kelly. But, now the simulations that we need in IndyCar are so advanced. We go down to Pratt and Miller in Charlotte where Chevy has their simulator, and it's, run by a dozen people. There's computer screens everywhere, and, the simulator has this whole room dedicated to it. So it's, one that they use for lots of their racing, different projects. So it's, we go down there all the time, man. It's something that we don't take lightly. We enjoy it. We learn from it, not just from a driving sense. The engineers learn a lot. The Chevy's got guys that are full-time just working on that, making sure that everything's modeled perfectly, making sure that if we change something in the simulator, it feels exactly the way it does in real life. And, it's always evolving, which is kind of cool as well. Every time we go down there's something new, whether it's a visual thing, whether it's a tire model, always something new to learn and something to take advantage of. And I think you're seeing that a lot more now, especially with the testing being fairly limited in IndyCar. I know the Honda guys use the one here in Indy a lot, and the Chevy teams definitely use the one in Charlotte as much as we can. So it's, something that ECR is investing a lot of time and money in. So it's, we have seen a lot of benefits to us, and I think it'll just continue to get even more realistic as time goes on.
Absolutely.
Is it one of those simulators where, you got to climb like 5 steps and hop into this like capsule almost, or with a bunch of pivot points on it?
No. Dalara's one is like that. Honda's one is like that. This one's a little bit different. It kind of sits on a table and moves around, but so it doesn't look quite as spectacular as those ones, but it's awfully realistic.
That's great.
Right.
I mean, I have one ordered. It's on back order right now, but it's slated for Christmas. It's a Christmas present to me, So I was just wondering what it's going to look like.
Good deal.
That's a joke, by the way.
Spencer, I got another quick question. What? Was it a joke, Frank? Because I know.
Yeah, because I am rich as hell. That's why. Oh God.
Well, quick question for you here, Spencer. Something that I really do admire about Ed is his business sense. Not just as a driver, but just as a businessman overall. I really do respect what he does and what he's been doing. Have you learned anything outside of the driving, just the business part of the sport, from him?
I think I've picked up a little bit here and there on that side, but I think mainly just, kind of how to manage being an IndyCar driver. There's a lot more stuff that goes on, as you know, than just driving the car, and Ed has a lot of experience with that. So he's given me a lot of advice on, things like just prioritizing different appearances and, prioritizing your time with how much you need to spend with the engineers versus, what you need to do for our partners, and maybe some things that the IndyCar people want you to do, it's not really necessary. Maybe pass up on some things to have other opportunities. So definitely I use him a lot for that kind of stuff, and I always like to hear his opinion. And he's always got good advice because he's kind of been there and done it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question, great answer too. How much did MRTI really prepare you for IndyCar and having a full-time ride? Do you think if it wasn't for MRTI, you wouldn't be as ready as you are right now?
Yeah, definitely. The Mazda Road to Indy has been, crucial in my career, not just from a funding scholarship point of view, but also, developing me as a driver and, going to all these tracks. I mean, that's the one thing that's really nice. My first IndyCar race was at St. Petersburg, and it was a track that I had been racing at since 2011. So, stuff like that is really nice because you grow up racing the tracks and kind of get a sense for what it's like on those weekends. It's very hectic and, it's kind of nonstop. And each level that you move up throughout the road to Indy, it kind of becomes a little bit more like IndyCar. where you have maybe a little bit more track time, a little bit more responsibilities in terms of media and stuff you have to do. So it kind of helps train you in all different areas to make it not so much of a jump to IndyCar, but still, even Indy Lights to IndyCar is still very, very different. There's a lot more going on in IndyCar in all areas, but it's definitely, I think, proving its worth and, producing guys like, Ed and myself and hopefully Kyle Kaiser and many others in the future that can get up to the IndyCar and hopefully have long careers here.
Yeah.
Sorry, something in my throat there.
Nice subtle hint there, Christian.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you forgot somebody, Spencer.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Spencer, let me ask you this then. As somebody who's on the MRTI, what would be the biggest advice you could give me from your position now?
Biggest advice about the road to Indy? I mean, I'd say my advice would be to listen to other people's advice. I know it might sound kind of weird, but what I mean by it is, when I was younger in USF 2000 or Pro Mazda or something, there's lots of people telling you what you should do in terms of, driving, in terms of all these different things. And, especially when it comes to actually on track stuff, there are some times where I listened to people's advice and just thought that was stupid and, that's not the way to do it. I'm doing it right. And then sure enough, one lap, I say, okay, fine. I'll try this gear in that corner. And I go a tenth quicker or tenth and a half quicker, whatever it was. So I'd say just, be open-minded. And there's a lot of very good people in the Mazda Road to Indy in terms of, mechanics, driver coaches, other drivers, team managers, people that have experience in IndyCar, experience in Indy Lights and all types of racing. So they definitely knew a lot more than I did at that stage. And, sometimes I didn't quite believe them when maybe I should at least have given their advice a shot.
And, yeah, I mean, racing for Yunko's coming up didn't hurt at all. I mean, they produced, champions like you and Kyle. We had Kyle on 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of funny you mentioned Kyle. And now, I haven't actually thought about it, but we had Kyle 2 weeks ago, Ed Jones last week, and now we have you this week. And actually, this week marks the 3-year anniversary of the show. So, the three really big stories of the beginning of the off season is you, Kyle, and Ed, and we've had you guys on. So, I think the Indy Sports Car Podcast is really getting popular. Yep.
Cutting edge, Frank. You're on the cutting edge.
I just wanted to pat myself on the back. That's all. No, I'm kidding. No.
Well, I just had one more question for Spencer. The Rolex 24 is coming up. Are we going to see Spencer back in the Mazda Motorsports?
Yeah, I sure hope so. It's a lot of fun, that race. I've really enjoyed it the past few years. I was just in Daytona testing with them, with the Mazda. So, hopefully they bring me back for the race. Sports car racing is something that I always enjoyed watching, but now that I get to be a part of it, especially in the prototype class, there's always something going on. It's every lap you're passing a GTD car, or a prototype challenge car or something. So it's, there's never a lap where you don't have anything to focus on. Like, sometimes in IndyCar, there'll be 10, 20 laps where you might not pass anyone. No one's really on your butt and you're just kind of driving around. That definitely doesn't happen at Daytona. So it's really exciting to be a part of it.
Definitely not. And, I remember you raced with Mazda before you started your IndyCar career, and you did a lot of, green flag pit stops. Now, do you think that got you ready to do green flag pit stops in an IndyCar for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it gets you at least somewhat prepared. I mean, they're obviously very different,
Sure.
At Daytona, you could be down in the middle of the night and you can barely see really the pit signs and all that. So it's almost more challenging to do a pit stop there. But it was nice to get in the groove of, coming into pit lane, going into the box, launching, going out, doing a cold tire outlap, which is something, in Indy Lights and all that, you never really have because, you're behind the pace car and then you're going racing. So you have a chance to warm your tires up and your brakes up and get everything situated where, in IndyCar and sports car racing, that's not the case. So it was nice to have that experience.
Yeah, no, I've been a big advocate of them trying to figure something out with Indy Lights to try to simulate some sort of a green flag pit stop during a race to get you guys ready for St. Pete, or if that would be the champions first, race, and among other people who get rides that don't win the championship. But it just always seems kind of nuts to me that it's like, all right, now you get to do green flag, pit in an IndyCar, at St. Pete, go. So it always seems kind of nuts to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe they'll come up with something, but I don't think they ever really will, or ever really will do it. So, but I always thought that was just kind of something that they need to, I think, look into a little bit more deeper. I think I don't know. But you doing the Daytona 24, you're saying it obviously did help you a lot. So, if you had any advice for up and coming guys coming out of Indy Lights right into IndyCar without doing any sports car, what would be your advice?
Without doing any sports car racing, yeah, I mean it's a big challenge going into St. Pete for your first IndyCar race for sure. It's a lot going on. Just kind of have to embrace it all and try to learn from as much as you can, but try not to get overwhelmed. I mean, you've got so many more people on the team working on the car and the pit stop, so many more people to talk to in the debriefs. You have 2 engineers from the team, you have an engine guy, you have another guy from Pratt & Miller, or you've got all these people to talk to. So trying to prioritize all of that and give everyone the information they need to do their job is something that takes a little bit of time to get used to. And then in terms of just on track stuff, there's so much more going on. You've got multiple tire compounds, you've got pit stop strategies, all that stuff. So I just say to be open-minded and try and take it all in, and definitely do a big debrief with yourself after that first race weekend to kind of go through everything and see where you could have done better, questions you might have been able to ask. And, I think that'll definitely help for your second time out.
All right. Great answer. Mike, do you have a question?
I guess, I saw in the news today they were thinking about giving an extra set of tires for practice for guys who are rookies or outside of the top 10 in points. And without really reading the article, I wanted to get your opinion on what you thought about that. I saw some interesting comments online earlier today.
Yeah, I actually just saw that today as well. That was the first I had heard of it. So, I think it's interesting. I mean, they seem to be doing a lot to help rookie drivers now, which would have been nice a couple of years ago, with the extra set of reds in practice, and now maybe a whole nother set on top of that. So that would have been nice a couple of years ago. But, my opinion on it is that even if you give the guys outside the top 10 an extra set of tires, I think that you're still going to have the same guys at the front, more or less. You're still going to have the Penske's and Ganassi cars and Andretti cars, and hopefully the Ed Carpenter racing cars, up front, even without that additional set. So I'm not sure how much of a game changer it'll really be. Maybe some places where there's high tire drag, it might be beneficial if they can save that extra set for the race. But then again, you have all the different strategies and that come into play. It's not like you're going to be making an extra pit stop just to put on new tires with the amount of time you lose in pit lane. So, I think the main objective behind it is just to have cars out on the racetrack throughout the whole practice session for the fans and for the fans at the track and watching on TV, which I think is important. You always, if there's an IndyCar session, you want to see IndyCars on the track. So no one likes seeing people sit for 10 or 15 minutes of the session, which I think is the main thing that they're trying to change.
Right on.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
good answer.
and I'm all about more cars on the track more often. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so what was it like getting used to the red wall tires? Your first year in. Like what was the biggest difference to just a set of blacks, and what did you do to basically teach yourself how to use them correctly?
Well, it's the tricky thing is that it varies every weekend, right? I mean, each track
Sure.
sometimes can have a different compound of black and red tires, so it's never necessarily the exact same thing, which is a variable that you have to figure out within, 3/4 of a lap to a lap
Yeah,
in qualifying.
they don't give you much
So,
time, do they?
that's something that was very difficult in my rookie year to really get the hang of. And, there's just most of the time there's just a little bit more grip, and that's kind of hard to believe at first because it already felt like there was more grip than I could ever imagine from all the downforce on the car. And then you put on a new set of blacks and there's more grip, and then you put on another set of reds and there's even more grip. So it's just kind of a never-ending cycle of more grip and more speed that you could carry through the corners.
And I mean, a lot of different racing series will, race the same track along with you guys throughout the weekend, and they'll put down different rubbers. And yeah, I mean, uh, normal fans or people that aren't, they don't know a whole lot about it. When they hear about it, they just think, well, it's rubber, so that's good. But I mean, do you find that there's different series that you guys will share a weekend with, where it's like they'll throw down some rubber there, and it just completely throws the track out of whack for you guys?
Yeah, well, it's for us, it's just Cooper tires, really, the rubber that they lay down. I mean, the whole Mazda Road to Indy's on Coopers, and now Firestone is only supplying Indy cars. So if we're out after a Pro Mazda race and an Indy Lights qualifying or something, it definitely takes the first few minutes of the session to kind of put that layer of Firestone rubber back onto the track. So it's just, slippery. The cornering speeds are down. The braking distances are a little bit longer. But it goes away pretty quick once we get, 10 cars out there. We get the Firestone rubber laid down pretty quick.
Right on. That's just always so interesting to me that little bit of a variable, it just creates such a huge difference, I mean, obviously not for long, but for that little bit of time, it's just really interesting to me. And I'm just like every other dumb idiot that doesn't know much about much. I figure rubber's rubber, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
the more grip,
Yeah.
the better, because the more rubber. But no, it's more slippery, and that really blows me away, to be honest. But
Yeah. They're very sensitive.
yeah, I mean, and then just like, and then a different wind speed. I mean, like a 5 degree difference between a practice and then the race or something like that. It just throws so many different variables off on the car. It's just amazing how much really goes into it. So
Huge changes, man, and those are things that obviously the layman fan wouldn't understand or wouldn't grasp. When I tell people about driving, they often look at me like it's the most boring thing in the world, because to them it just looks like we're just going around and around and around. But if they understood exactly how complicated everything is and how many things are changing all at one time, the track that you end up with at the end of the night is not the track that you started with when this race, began. And that's something that a lot of people don't get. So I'm glad you get it, Frank. I know Spencer gets it, but
oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, of course he does. I'm sure he does. and
yeah,
he's
man.
and he's
Even
excelled at it because he has his full-time ride now, which we are very happy about. And I don't think
yes,
he would
indeed.
if he didn't get that right. So there
That's
you
right.
go. But so yeah, real quick, Spencer. Now, what's been your favorite track racing on your past 2 seasons as far as road and street courses go, and what's been basically the track that you just it just gives you problems after problems?
Well, the one that's been giving us problems is probably Detroit. Has been tricky. And we were able to finish in the top 10 in one of the races there this year, but it's just been tricky for us. In terms of getting used to it, driving wise. I think setup wise, we're probably missing a little bit as well. It's just a very difficult place, very bumpy, tight, twisty, and just not an easy place. And my favorite, there's a lot of cool places. I really enjoyed racing at Road America again the past couple of years in IndyCar. I mean, there's not much you can ask for other than a track like that. Watkins Glen, it's a shame to see that not on the schedule anymore. I really enjoyed that place, but to be honest, they're all a lot of fun. I mean, they all provide good racing. I've had some good runs at IndyGP, and really, it's hard for me to ever, even Detroit, it's hard for me to ever say that I don't like it when I'm driving Indy cars.
That's true, right? And I mean, I guess Portland next year. You look forward to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've never been there, I've never driven there, never even been that area of the country, so it'll be exciting. I've heard great things about it, and looking forward to getting out there.
It's like Christian's stomping grounds out there, right, Christian?
Right down. That's right down the street from me. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
beautiful Pacific Northwest, man.
Yeah, the beautiful, gloomy, doomy, rainy Northwest.
Pacific Northwest. That's right.
I don't think I've ever seen a Seahawks home game where it was sunny. But then again,
we don't have too many of those.
There you go.
And we don't get too many of those. Now, Spencer, you're from Orlando, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Orlando, and lived there 10, 12 years, and then moved up to Indy.
Gotcha, man. Do you have any, what would you say would be your fondest memory of racing down in Florida where it is sunny all the time?
Yeah, it was sunny, but it was hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was humid. Racing in Miami in the summer, was not enjoyable.
It just sounds
in the long
awful.
run, I think it. Yeah, but I think in the long run, it kind of isn't a bad thing, because there's some races we go to in the summer up in the Midwest in IndyCar, and it feels like it's 1,000 degrees outside. And I think some other drivers that maybe grew up racing in England or somewhere where it was usually cold and wet maybe struggle a little bit more than I do to get used to it.
Yeah, like I remember, like the one year Mid Ohio felt like we were in Florida.
Yeah, it does.
I think it was like 2 years ago. Oh my God, so hot here. But and you're saying you're really looking forward to Pocono. You're really looking forward to Texas. How about Phoenix? You looking forward to Phoenix?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't raced on a short oval in a while. I had my first laps around Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, back when we tested there, and it was a unique little oval, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to going back there in February. We have an open test there, and then of course the race, I think, is in April.
Now,
would you like to? Okay, you go ahead.
No. I just wanted to ask if they had changed the layout yet, and where the start finish line is yet, or is that another year out?
I know it's a work in progress. I'm not sure if it'll be moved by the time we race there or not.
Okay, right on. Go ahead, Christian.
No, I was just going to ask. I look at the forums a lot. I look at the fan pages a lot, and I read all the comments. And about 80% of the comments, people say what would make IndyCar better is if they added more ovals, and people are suggesting things like Milwaukee and Fontana and a couple of other places. Do you feel that would be the best thing to make IndyCar better?
I think it's an interesting topic. I think that the racing on ovals can be extremely exciting at times, and a lot of the core fans of IndyCar really, really enjoy oval racing, and obviously the Indy 500 is kind of the heart of that. But we have a lot of oval fans out there, and that's what they like to see. And I know the drivers enjoy that type of racing. I think there's a fine line of, tracks that we can realistically race on and be safe. We're trying to steer clear of the big pack racing and places maybe like Fontana and, like Homestead are kind of hard to get away from that. So I think that's one of the reasons. I think, one of the reasons we don't go to that many ovals is because the crowds seem to be a little bit better and on the road courses and street courses, obviously barring Indy, but we saw Gateway that was packed. So I don't know. It's a hard formula, I think, to get right the balance of tracks. But I enjoy oval racing. So if there was one or two more on the schedule, I don't think that'd be a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I've often said like Iowa is the perfect oval for IndyCar racing. It's just like
it's a cool place.
Yeah, I mean,
the track itself, yes.
Yeah.
Just that mile.
The location, maybe not, but yeah, the track itself though is absolutely
19-hour drive is it's it's worth it when you get there.
It's a great track. You just don't get the attendance though. You just don't get the attendance out that way that you get at some of the others, which kind of kills things from a marketing standpoint. And I'm saying that just because I've shopped Iowa to a few potential sponsors, and I've heard the exact same thing. It's the location that's kind of killing it for them. So, but the track itself though, absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So. Going from Indy Lights to IndyCar the last 2 seasons, what would you say you've excelled at the most as far as your talent and what has just come natural, like just natural to you, don't even think about it. And on the flip side of that, what's something that you found that you have to work on, as far as getting better at?
I think I've done well in the racing situations, passing and kind of working my way through the field when we've had the pace to do so. I think I've been able to take advantage of the pace in the car during the races and work towards the front, which has been nice. I think one thing that we still need to work on as a team is, qualifying higher up. That's a big focus of ours over this off season. And, I think if we can start the races towards the front and still have that race pace, we'll be right up there fighting for podiums.
Right on. And has your qualifying been getting better throughout the last 2 years?
Yeah, it's been getting better. There's still areas to improve. In IndyCar, everything's so tight. You leave half a tenth on the table, and that's the difference of third or eighth. So it's all about putting everything together and not making any mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't really notice it at the time, but there's like a huge strategy when it comes to the qualifying. I mean, did that take you by surprise at all, or were you pretty much used to that, or is there like a certain strategy you like to do? Do you like to go out first? Do you like to go out last? Like where are you most comfortable with when qualifying?
Well, you want to, you kind of want to be one of the last cars on the track, the last car completing your flying lap towards the end of the session, because everyone's laying rubber down. The track's only going to get faster. So if you can be one of the last guys, that's a little bit of an advantage. But then you play a risk of, someone spinning or bringing out a yellow or a red flag, and then you not being able to get a lap in. So, it's a balance of how aggressive you want to be on that side of things. And, every little bit counts. So usually we want to be out there on our sticker red tires towards the end of the segment and trying to put a lap together.
Right on. Well, Missy, do you have any questions or anything you wanted to add before we let Spencer go? Because it's almost been about 45 minutes, so that's 15 minutes more than you said you have, buddy. So
No, I'm good.
Means it's been going good. So you're good. Christian, do you have anything else you wanted to ask Spencer?
No, no. He pretty much answered everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I could keep going. I could,
yeah.
if I can talk this for 2 hours, but um, I don't know, Spencer, is there anything that you wanted to just basically I don't know, talk about, or is there anything that we haven't gone over that you I don't know you rarely get asked this question. Is there anything about IndyCar in the last 2 years of you being in it that if you were the guy running the entire series, is there anything you would change or do a little bit differently to make it better as far as a driver standpoint goes?
Not really. I think I've been happy with the progress that they've made the past few years in terms of the new aero kit. The tracks that we're going to now I think are great. Obviously don't have the massive years of experience like some of the other guys that kind of see where it has been, and if anything they like back then isn't here now. But in my opinion, it's really great. I think IndyCar racing is the best racing on the planet, and just happy to be a part of it. And finally, just thanks for having me on the show, guys. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing you at the track sometime next season.
Definitely, it'll be St. Pete next season, buddy. And that was a great quote to go out on. IndyCar is the best racing on the planet, and we're over the moon that you have a full ride part of it. So we just wanted to again, say thank you for coming on the show, and nothing but the best of luck next year, man. And above all, be fast and be safe. All right.
That's right.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Will do. Good talking to you guys.
Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks for coming on, Spencer.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, and that was Spencer Pigot. Everybody, I mean, have we been lucky with the guests we've been having on the last couple of weeks, or what? I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
just just I mean, you know, the guys that are creating the storylines right now, the headlines right now, and where are they? ISCP, baby. And
That's
what
not luck, though, Frank.
I'm
That's
telling
not
you,
luck. That's
it,
that's that's that's
oh,
ISCP giving the fans what they want to hear.
and the drivers.
That's right. Nothing lucky about that. That's all you guys.
I know. I'm,
Yeah.
I
You've built
always
those relationships.
see, like, I
You've
think that
developed those relationships.
that's true, but see, I think I suck. Okay.
We're not
And
going to fight you on that.
oh, thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
we won't fight you on that.
Thanks,
No,
thanks,
I'm kidding.
Christian. That's nice of you to say. I told you about this 15 minutes before you jumped on, so yeah, okay. Um, and Mike
No.
was 35 minutes, so
Oh wow.
yeah. But hey, I mean, uh, Spencer, like I said, he's been a real busy guy the past couple weeks. We've been talking with him, back and forth, trying to nail down for just a free couple minutes. And hey, I mean, I'm over the moon. We got almost a full show out of him, so that's great. Um, and same thing with Ed last week, and Kyle was great the week before. Um, Mike, I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy. Not coughing your head off. It sounds like,
Yes,
so that's
thank you.
good.
Finally.
Yep, I'm glad you're feeling better, man. And Christian, I don't know what to tell you, man. FedEx has thrown their arms up in the air and said, "Don't know."
Jeez,
I know,
jeez.
I
All
know.
right, man. It's okay. I've got my building looking into it. But,
It's
yeah.
okay. I have things in the works. I have things in the works. So I'll have to, well, I'm just gonna pick a FedEx location you're gonna have to go to next time and grab it.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
just do it that
Yeah.
way. I think next. So, anyways, that's a little bit inside, but I guess people can figure it out from that one. Oh, excuse me. So at any rate, no, I mean, I guess we should, keep on going. Missy, what do you think? That was about. We're about 48 in. We like to keep it 52 an hour. So, I guess uh, let's finish this up with a little bit of news that's happened since last time we talked to everybody with that, and Missy and Mike, do you have any stories that have been breaking over the last week?
Just the one that I mentioned to Spencer about the potential changing of the tire allotment rules, where IndyCar would potentially give an extra set of tires to rookies and anybody outside of the top 10. That's what the article said. I saw some interesting comments that said maybe outside of the top 15 or maybe rookies only. I don't know what the right answer is, and I don't even know what my opinion on it is, but it's kind of interesting.
I mean, I hear it and I say, why and who cares, right? Like, why? First off, I have never heard somebody complain about that. Have you?
Maybe for rookie development, I could see it being useful, some extra track time and not worrying about running out of tires. But, guys outside of the top 10, listen, if it's a fluky start and you have, I don't know, Scott Dixon in 14th, does he really need that extra set of tires for a race? Probably not.
He probably won't even use them.
Exactly.
Speaking of fluky starts, anybody see the beginning of that Mexican GP?
I didn't even turn it on.
Good God, was it just a massacre? Vettel is a... There was nothing left of Vettel's car by the end of that lap.
I didn't even watch the highlights.
Hamilton and Bottas both hit.
Mike's checked out on F1.
I gave it until about a month ago, and once the title battle was all but over, and now it's completely over. I did check out.
The title for this year, Mike, was over 2 years ago.
That's a fair point.
Yep. Well, Missy?
What's that?
What do you think?
Well, like I said, I have good intentions to watch the F1 race, but they lose me at, I don't know, lap 2. And then I start doing stuff around the house and just leave it running in the background. I get distracted. I mean, the only thing, it's not about the race, but I mean, Felipe Massa is retiring again, right?
Yeah.
Is this the second time again at the end of this year?
Yeah. I think he means it though this time. All right. He's dead serious this time.
I'll believe it when next season starts.
Yeah, Now, which is interesting. So that leaves a ride open. But would you guys say that Massa is to F1 what Helio was to IndyCar?
No.
In conversations of legends retiring.
No. Not even close. What does Massa accomplish?
Oh, I mean, I'm just a matter of opinion, Frank. Just a matter of opinion. Just asking.
Oh, no, I'm serious. Has he accomplished anything? He hasn't since I've been watching for the last couple of years. Then again, no one in Williams has. So, I don't. Yeah, I heard he was retiring. I went, okay, another billionaire will take his place.
So since he joined Formula One in 2002, he has a second place overall finish and a third, and many more nondescript finishes. Did win 6 races, but that was all the way back in 2008, and has not won a race since 2008.
What team was he with?
Ferrari.
Oh, of course.
Since he left Ferrari, he has 1 pole in 2014 and 5 podiums in, I'm not strong in math here, but roughly 80 races.
He sucked. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really not him. It's the car. Okay. It's the car. It's what.
I mean, that's what happens when you go from Ferrari to Williams.
Right.
Which
But what's impressive is the longevity. I mean, that's not easy to do, man. To stick around 15 plus, that's.
Pockets deep enough, Chris. Yeah, you could be there as long as he wants. Just saying.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that thought I was watching like a ransom video when he, when he was talking about his
What?
retirement?
His retirement video was slightly uncomfortable. Yes.
Wasn't it? I'm watching it. I'm like, what? Like, so how much do they want to get him out of wherever he's at? I don't know. Is it like what's going? Oh, he's retiring. Okay, he's okay. Okay. Like, I thought somebody kidnapped him. He's wearing like a Hanes black shirt. I mean, it's weird. It's weird. Okay. The hair looked like it hasn't been washed in a week. I don't know.
Hey, it's a tough decision to retire, right?
I mean, Elio always looks very dapper. No
He
matter
does. He's
what.
always got the gel going and the.
Bedheads. Bedaheda is how he calls it. Yeah. You'd think he'd know how to say that by now, but hey.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Yeah. So there you go. Missy, do you have the finishing results of the Mexican GP? Doesn't matter. Verstappen won. Hamilton won the championship with his fourth place finish, which is pretty amazing since he got a flat right off the bat. Yep.
Did we go over this race already?
Wasn't it this weekend?
No, it was last weekend.
See, that's how much I give a turkey.
I was like, we went over this already.
See, the sad thing is, I believed you guys because I checked out a month ago.
See what I mean? See what I mean? But we had Ed on almost the whole show last week, and we didn't really talk about this at all. That's why I was going over it. That's all.
You raise a good point. I called you she. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, once you see me, I mean, I have beautiful eyes. I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna check out of this conversation as well.
I don't know what that meant at all. That comment means nothing.
I did want to throw out because I think it came out after the show last week that Renger van der Zande is going to be replacing Ricky Taylor with Wayne Taylor Racing next season.
Yeah, did something happen between the Taylor brothers? They were falling out or something?
Well, the one Taylor went to Penske.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Do it.
That's my point. Those two are inseparable. It seems.
Listen, when Penske comes calling, it's pretty tough to say no.
How do you pick one over the other?
We'll have to get Roger on.
It's true. I mean, they both seem fat. I can't tell each one. I don't know which one's who. Do you?
You heard it here, fans. Roger Penske on ISCP next week. right.
The rate we're going, might as well. No, Newgarden next week, then Penske.
You've heard it here first.
Who's ever making headlines on motorsport.com, we have them on there next week. No, but actually slated for next week. Well, I don't know. I won't say that, but it looks very probable since he's very excited to be on the show. Newman Walks has announced their driver for the USF 2000 next year so far. Missy, what's his name?
Darren Keane.
There you go. So he possibly could be on the show for next week. It's very possible. But we don't like to announce that kind of stuff and then look foolish when they don't show up. So we're hoping he comes on. But if he doesn't, we'll be here. It's been 3 years, guys. Well, Missy, it's been 3 years.
Yeah, we made it.
Can't believe it. And
we weren't supposed to, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you ask most people, if you listen, who listen to the first 20, this wasn't supposed to go this long, and what we've turned it into wasn't supposed to be either because I sucked. Oh boy, but you you live, you learn, you get better, and like Christian said, you make contacts, or Mike said, well, somebody said it. Was it you, Christian?
I said that.
Yeah, yeah. You make contacts, and then they become full-time IndyCar rides, and they don't forget about us, and that's I can't I can't just explain how like awesome that feels. Ed coming back on after we had him on when he was in the Indy Lights. The first time we had Spencer, the first two times we had Spencer on, he had no even thoughts of championship in Indy Lights for his rookie year in the Indy Lights. But sure enough, he wins it. So there you go. And it was like a lot of fun, kind of, having him on throughout the season as it happened. So that was a pretty cool story to track, and we have a lot of drivers on that we've been tracking and everything, and tracking their careers. Um, I have a really good feeling about Parker Thompson being in Pro Mazda next year. I don't know about you guys. I mean, he does always talk about how he has no money and this and that and all everything else, but then he's always in testing one, and he's been in the fray of everything so far. So, what are you guys' gut feeling?
Yeah, everything I've read about the kid so far, sounds very promising. So, I'm gonna say yes, right there with you.
Right on, Missy.
I'm going to say yes because I think it's time. I don't think he can spend another season in USF 2000 next year.
Yeah, 4 seasons is it's
Yeah, I think it's time
wheels,
for him to move up. Period.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about you, Christian? You think he's going to be a Pro Mazda next year?
I hope so. Definitely hope so.
No, I'm asking you. I hope so too. But what's your gut? What's your gut feeling like?
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah.
Nobody works harder to get sponsorship money in MRTI. I can attest to that than Parker Thompson. So I have no doubt. And Christian Parker neck and neck. Christian Parker neck and neck. And I mean, they both work hard. I mean, Christian doesn't have a lucky tie for nothing.
That's right. I don't, man. That's right. I don't. But no. Much respect to those that do put in that work. Long hours, and early mornings, and hearing no after no after no after no, and everybody's different reasons why they can't, and all that good stuff. But still continuing to get up the next day, put on your lucky tie, and go right back out there. Get your teeth kicked in again, get up again, and do it all over again and again and again and again until you get that yes. So, yeah, shout out to everybody.
One yes is still one yes.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I got lucky. I asked Missy. She said yes. It was my first yes. And I stuck with it. And I'm happy I did. The best move I ever made in my life.
Aww.
That's right.
You make me sick.
I think we need to record that, and that needs to be the intro.
Oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever heard. And on that note, Missy.
And on that note, you know that I know that obviously Frank has, not a clue. Mike, Christian, and of course Spencer know,